Second map set to kick off here as TSM has a 1-0 lead over Immortals currently. We're moving, though, onto Ascent, which is much more familiar territory for the likes of Immortals, despite the fact that we watched them lose last night to Genghsta 15-13 in a crazy good overtime game. We'll see if they can stop TSM here, and it's not starting off well. Wardell locking things down on lane as the Jet. Two quick shots coming out from him, but Koler and Wardell both fall on the take. So Jcstani with some nice pickups gets them spike plant and site control. We'll see what they can do with it.
That was almost like a 180 shot onto the second as well. Great work from him. The peek's out, though. This is a risky angle to take, and well, the curveball wasn't even needed for this to get closed out. A great start once again from the side of TSM, and I think if you are on the TSM side, if you want to look and see them go through and win the whole tournament, if they play like they did in the last map, I'm pretty much in their camp and I'm a believer. Even though Sentinels have been fantastic, even though we've seen the likes of C9 beat them earlier in the tournament, if they just run through Immortals in the second map as well, who's going to bet against them, realistically?
This goes here.
I don't know, it's still tough. They've had a bit of a hiccup matching up against Sentinels more recently. That team has gotten scary good in their own right. Since they've solidified the roster with Dapper in the mix, things have gone very nicely over the last several weeks for Sentinels. TSM picks up the pistol round playing defense here. That's a quick shot coming out from Subroza and a follow-up from Drone as well. They go for the orb control over on long. Wardell is still here playing on the other side of the smoke. Inside that smoke is Dicey, who escapes over towards the wine cellar, goes for a fresh magazine in the weapon that was picked up. But it is reduced down to 2. It's the Jet and the Sova. And Wardell's holding this line, currently waiting for the peek to come through from Dicey, and he just continues to get into a better position. Meanwhile, on the flank, you've also got the Omen coming through. They're trying to hold a crossfire should he get aggressive. There's the peek from Wardell, though. He doesn't seem to care too much. Switches to the Ghost, looking for the dart. Not even necessary, as Koler is there with the follow-up. 2 rounds here in a row for TSM as they pick up the pistol and the anti-eco.
Yeah, of course. Not much invested in that round, so we're not going to sit here and look at Immortals and be too worried just yet. In fact, we witnessed the last match. They won the pistol follow-up and then, well, basically didn't win any more rounds in that half. So it's very much possible that everything can change from here on out. Defensive side, though, they're going to have a few pieces missing in this one. The Spectres on the majority, as they do at least have a couple of Phantoms, but it does even mean that going into the next round, the rebuy won't be ideal. Nice use of the shock dart, though. Gonna take a nasty tag, and in fact, they're actually gonna go aggressive. I like this. Utilize that one rifle. They know there's another player just on the other side of the cage, but it's a bit of a dicey battle. And in fact, the Hot Hands is gonna deny him any further presence. Great work from TSM with this aggressive start to the half, and well, it leaves only 3 players trying to survive versus the 5.
Asuna moving in quick. The curveball coming in leaves him completely blind. Drone is there. The door gets shut, and so does the proverbial window on the opportunity as TSM picks up a flawless victory in the 3rd round. Well played on the defense here. An inauspicious start currently for Immortals. You were hoping to see them come out of the gate swinging after the last map, but thus far it's all TSM.
Yeah, I like the way they played that round. That's something you see quite regularly in other FPS games, is where you have the weaker purchase, but you know that you can at least invest into the next round, so you take some serious risks. I do wonder if they're going to continue this too often, though. It seems like Subroza still wants to make a similar play, and I'm loving the dart play already. It's something you mentioned earlier about Drone, is that him previously playing Sova, and it definitely seems like he has his positioning spot on in these early stages.
Subroza hiding currently in wine cellar. Might get the timing on this. You know he wants to peek on that. He gets 3 kill. Lines up another one as well. The spray transfer doesn't work out so nicely. But Asuna's gonna have to heal up. The hot hands go down on the ground as damage was dealt. Wardell is here with back-to-back shots, both clipping through the edge of the wall. Drone with the follow-up. 4 rounds in a row here for TSM. The Eco round does not really work out so well for Immortals. This is the big round, though. We've talked about this before. The 5th round is really when you can put the full strength of the buy behind it, as that'll allow you to get the operator in play. The problem is, with how weak some of these rounds have been coming in from Immortals, the money is starting to skyrocket on a couple of these players. Hazed is on 8,800, still rocking a Spectre, 7,200 for the Opera and Wardell, 5,900 for Drone, 5,200 for Koler. Subroza is the only one that's had to spend significant cash, and that's because he's died twice. Everyone else staying alive for most of the rounds.
We do have a couple of ultimates in, though. I'm looking at that orbital strike on the side of Immortals. Definite potential, especially with this B play. There's some angles that you can definitely shut out. And with the spike currently sat in their direction, it looks like they're going to challenge, but look at where the defense currently is waiting. They're going to get aggressive again. I am loving this style of play currently coming out from TSM. They are disrupting their opponent's butt. Jcstani gets a double. Trade quickly from Drone, but he shouldn't be allowed to escape. However, the missed shot will allow him to get around the corner. Eventually, he's closed out by diceyzx, but it might be a little bit too late. It ends in a 2 versus 2. Hazed actually still with a Spectre in hand. There's plenty of other weapons to have, but to be honest, at this closer range, it's not that much of a detriment.
Hazed currently stares on this B site, waiting for the push to come through. There's the smokes coming out from the jet, creating a moment of safety for them to access the site. The tripwire gives away the position of Dicey. He's trying to take that tripwire out so he doesn't get stunned. In the meantime, Hazed is able to get his teammate, who is working his way up lane as well. Hazed maybe not necessarily having as crazy a game as he had previously, but 4-1 is still nothing to scoff at. 7-3 for Subroza. Drone waking up a little bit quicker on this map. 7-2 from him after a slow start on Haven. But TSM very much in the driver's seat here. Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, that's the worry, because he was, although they only managed to get a few rounds, he was the one getting them for them in that last map. Like, very aggressive plays, even having an ace. We are going to see Fury utilized, and again, it's aggressive plays. I really am enjoying this look of TSM. They're almost playing this like an old school Cash, where you just push everywhere, you fight every angle, you don't allow anything, and Hazed is still hitting shots, keeping up his form. Nice shot from Genghsta, though. However, he shouldn't be allowed to survive much longer. 6-0. Well, maybe this time without the pistol, it could be even worse.
Tom, I got an update on the other series. Envy shocking Sentinels with a first map win, 13-10 on Split. Absolutely crazy, as I don't think many people predicted that one. Mummy, 22-14, 22-15 from Calypso, 22-16 from Akis. That was the Sage, Mummy on the Jet, Calypso on the Omen. Great performance from them to pick up a big win over a team that has absolutely been on the rise. We'll see if the same thing can occur for Immortals here as they're facing off against TSM. Asuna's going to go ahead and pop, run it back, trying to charge into the site. Neurotheft going to be popping as well. There's the orbital strike coming in towards the site. Drone's found two. Dicey with a pickoff, but Koler is there with a follow-up. It's Asuna now in a 1-on-2. It was a 1-on-3. He's got the hot hands, trying to flush Koler out of the corner. He knows he's got him inside that cyber cage. It's all going to come down to timing on the peak, but the old dog still knows a few tricks. Koler with the pickup. 7 straight rounds for TSM.
But they used everything. They literally just used everything. Like in the last round, they had used the knives, the Blade Storm, and they just used a Hunter's Fury, an Orbital Strike, and a Run It Back into one site at one time and lost. I don't know what more you can do. Like, those are 3 ults that even individually should be able to win you around. Maybe not the Hunter's Fury at times, but the Orbital Strike especially. They didn't even clear the site. It wasn't a retake. They didn't gain it. I'm just thinking this is already looking so bleak for Immortals. If you can't win a round where you have a full buy and all your ultimates versus TSM, then, well, you might as well call it a day.
Stim beacon down.
They're trying to make their way into the A site this time around. The defense has kind of left a bit of a gap in that territory, so they do have access to the site playing back. They'll be forced to work on the retake. They've got the Neural Theft available. No other ults in play for either team. Subroza's already on the other side of the door. Hot hands going down inside the cyber cage to keep them honest. And oh, the shot's right on the money. Dicey takes one to the dome through the floor. Jcstani with a follow-up, but it's Koler now with the op to pick one up of his own. It's Genghsta who goes down. Up in heaven, it's Wardell, and he switches to the sidearm. Doesn't work out so well for him. Asuna over in long with the Sheriff getting flanked by Hazed. The Neural Theft gonna give away the last position. It's Jcstani on the site with the Sheriff. Great retake coming in from TSM. Sure, they lose 2 bodies, but it starts with that quick shot through the floor from Wardell.
Well, and that's the thing, the bodies don't really matter anymore to TSM. Like, they're sat with max cash or almost max cash on pretty much every single member of their squad. They're just having to juggle weaponry around just to basically stop themselves maxing out. The other reason they don't matter is they're winning 8-0. And that's only the second time we've even seen the spike go down. The first was in the pistol round, which...
This goes here.
Well, since then it hasn't really been much of a story for Immortals. I honestly wonder if they just haven't shown up today, even though we are just seeing TSM play such a crazy manic style, a crazy aggressive style. But it's working for them, and they're trying it once again. And the thing is, it's not like they're doing the same thing every round. Each round is its own, well, crazy idea, it seems. And each round it works.
Oh, Subroza, he's got the perfect flank going. Aim gets a little bit sloppy there on Asuna, but still manages to finish it off before getting taken down. It is a 3-on-3. Jcstani's in mid, back behind the smoke. The rest of the team is there as well. They've got spike control. TSM is overshifting towards the B site. We'll see if that ends up being a problem for them, as it looks like the spike is going to be moving towards A. Koler just sitting in spawn watching for the mid push. They have the cam there so they can spot them out and go for the 3-on-3 retake. I don't hate this gamble too much coming in from TSM because, again, Koler can spot this out and get them that early intel. They're starting to move up towards the arch, and Cutler's making his way in towards heaven. Has to be careful on the timing if he decides to peek out further. There's the molly coming in. The smoke's going out as well. The understanding that the push is coming through. The Sova has started to rotate over as well, so they've got 2 players here. They do catch one on the tripwire. The door is going to be shut. The spike will be planted momentarily. Koler, though, taken out, as is drone, and it puts all the pressure on one player. Who would you want it to be other than this one? It's Wardell, operator coming through in heaven. 2 targets staring down that territory. Spots the hat of the brim, and it's a quick shot on the Jcstani. Smokes go down, and the glass is broken, so Wardell tries to sneak his way out. Koler times the peak perfectly. Finally, Immortals get themselves on the board.
Yeah, I think as well you have to say finally TSM were punished, because even though it was still a double entry for Subroza, they trade him, and then I think it's the repeat from, I believe, Hazed that actually nets them another. It wasn't necessarily a bad play, it was just that they were trying to fight for mid, which is something a lot of the time teams don't do, and Immortals, being a little bit more patient, holding their ground, managed to take a round. But they have to build off this now. If they can get a few rounds on the attacking side, win a pistol, there's still a possibility. But if it goes straight back, then this could be a problem. However, again, we're going to see Subroza and Hazed get punished early on. I think we're starting to see the development of this Immortals roster realizing what's going on and shutting down this aggression.
Two players remain on the defense for TSM. Immortals have found at least something to go off of. The question is whether or not it's too late. Keep in mind, we saw an 8-4 half result in a comeback for Genghsta just last night against Immortals, this very team. So it's certainly possible they can turn things around. CyberCage is going to keep Koler from doing much. He's waiting for the Jet Wardell to rotate in to try and assist with the retake. You've got the Cypher Koler for Immortals, very low on HP. Brim has the orbital strike as well. And this is pretty much an unwinnable round, and you can see the positioning from TSM indicates as such. They're going to head back towards the A site. It's time to save the weaponry. 2 rounds going on the board for Immortals. At least they're finding something at the tail end of this first half. But again, The hopes is that they didn't wait too long to find it.
It's the same issue that we saw in the last. It's like they have now made those adaptations, but is it enough? Like, will 4 rounds on the attacking side of this map be enough? It can be at times, but I feel like that's a big gamble to almost go like, and that's if they get 4. Like, this is me being optimistic, which doesn't happen very often, but if they get 4, sure, there is the potential for them to bring it back, but you're almost hoping then that there's not a good enough attacking side for TSM, which was something that they did so well in the last map, just with individual plays and brute forcing their way through. And that's something that I feel like a lot of teams just don't know how to deal with, and I quite like that they've almost gone to that old style Fnatic play that we used to see when they played against an opponent that I guess they just knew they were better than. They just played very aggressive, very in their face, and just made it almost impossible to play.
Here's the thing. Immortals struggled when we watched them play Ascent on the attack just yesterday. So it's not like we should anticipate a strong attack side coming in from them. As much as I want to praise TSM for the way they've played defense, I'm excited to see what Immortals can do on the defense because of what they were able to do yesterday. Again, I'm trying to be optimistic, holding out hope for this young squad to see what they can do against one of the best. TSM loses a player early. They've got to run it back. They're going to be peeking around the corner. Shock darts going in as well. Great damage being dealt. Here comes a quick curveball. That's going to be a problem for Subroza, but Hot Hands goes down to prevent the push, so Asuna's going to have to wait. Shock dart comes out as well. There's 2 around the corner. There's a paranoia coming through that blinds Asuna, and now he's trapped in this corner, but he's got some teammates helping him fight their way out of it. Koler over in the site.
Where you are.
What can he do? Nothing. As the defense gains control of the site, it'll be a retake coming in from TSM. As you can see, it's the Omen and the Cypher, Koler and Hazed, the 2 vets trying to work their way back into A.
Cover going out.
This looks like a pretty bleak position, especially with the Cypher now set up on the other side. And in fact, Koler's going to get aggressive. And I think Cutler's just made that decision to fall back out. The tripwire just used to make sure nobody can follow. In fact, Koler's going to do it anyway. Great round from him on the back of the Cypher, but also a much better performance from them overall. We've seen them get 3 rounds in a row. They've been punishing these pushes from TSM, although that definitely did get a little bit dicey. I think the paranoia that came out from Hazed actually did do very well. Unfortunately, nobody was there to capitalize off the back of it. Still, though, we're going to have a purchase, and more interestingly... Oh, wait. Is it going to come back? It is. We're going to see an operator out for Subroza.
That goes there.
Get out of my way!
Interesting. We've seen that at times. Wardell opting to use the ult, so the blade's going to come out from the jet, and he'll slice up his first target. And that's a big one to take. Asuna. We've talked about for Immortals, praising him at times. Camera gets taken down for Koler. He's going to start moving up Cat. The drone goes around the corner. That'll spot out his position. Hazed in mid has to be careful. He's got to dodge the shots that are coming his direction. And he'll go for the port out of there as well as he escapes from Pizza. Paranoia coming in as well. That'll prevent the push from coming in further, but they've given up control of Pizza. So it's Immortals who have this mid control now. The question is, what do they do with it?
And that's the thing, most of the time they haven't actually got this far because they've either won or lost the round by now. It's a uncharacteristic round from what we've seen so far from TSM. Much more passive, much more normal, I want to say. And now the Hunter's Fury coming out. This could be ideal from Drone. He does a decent amount of damage, and in fact, it's given his teammates the space. And Hazed is actually going to be able to escape into the spawn. I think it's been spotted. However, there's still a second player to have to worry about. The ultimate goes through, but it's actually Subroza come back again. I don't even think they know the Cutler's at the back of the site. They'll finish things off in a 9-3 half. A great defense coming out from TSM, but, well, you gave us that silver lining. They got a few rounds as a minimum. Now we get to see if Immortals can run it back themselves.
The Pizza is steaming in mid, but unfortunately,
Oh, this is
it was a hot half coming out from TSM that's left Immortals quite a bit burned But at the same point in time, Envy was able to come back from a 9-3 first half on Split against a team like Sentinels. So at the same point in time, you have to hold out hope because there's always a possibility, but it's got to start right here. A pistol round needs to kickstart this second half. They need to find stable footing to try and build the foundation of their second half, of their defensive side. There's an early paranoia over towards A that kind of disrupts what they wanted to do, that allows TSM to pick up the ult early on. And they've got long control pushing all the way up past the arch. The Spike's going to be joining them in just a moment. They've got some mid control as well to a certain degree, but there is a tripwire down in that territory. They spot one on the site. It's the Phoenix. Do they realize, though, that there is a Brim and a Jet both here backing up this A site? So this is a 3-player hold for the passive mid presence. Subroza quickly picks off Asuna, so that's a problem. But Dicey over towards the arch in grass, able to pick off Drone, who's trying to come through from Catwalk. So a trade back and forth. TSM still trying to go on the advance.
Oh, here we go. The curveball was spot on. It's a quick trade early on. JC pushes through, but he whiffs. It was only a 20 HP Hazed. He had the spike as well, but it's fallen apart. 2 versus 3. Dart at least gives them a little bit of information, but since that point, we've seen pretty much everybody move. Just a bullet onto 2, make that 3. In fact, that these players with the Cypher on the other side also low. Barely any health across the board, but good positioning from Haze. He's not even going to spot the man above him, but they had the information, but everybody now is tagged. It's left on to Genghsta to try and turn this around, but the drop-off would almost certainly mean his doom, and I think he's realized this as well. That is such a horribly placed dart cover. There's not even really anything he can do about it. Just trying to use the sensor dart to work out where the remainders are, and he will. And unfortunately, at this point, I think the time has ticked away, and Cutler will get the kill anyway.
Cutler dies to the spike, but it doesn't really matter. TSM pick up the pistol. It's now double-digit rounds for them. A disastrous start to the second half. Again, we talked about how important that would be. It's not, again, unrecoverable, but it's definitely going to make things much more difficult for them as the margin for error continues to shrink here for Immortals as they switch sides. Should see a full save coming out here. You see Genghsta going for a shorty. But a heavy investment coming in from TSM that could cost them quite a bit. You've got 4 Bulldogs and a Phantom spending pretty much all of their cash to put all of this hardware into play. So if somehow, some way, Immortals can take a few of these guns away, it makes things a little bit easier for them moving forward. Again, you've got mid control coming in for TSM. There's not much hardware in their way. There was no tripwire. Not even a camera to spot that out. Koler's rotating around, and they hear the footsteps. There's the dart going through into B main. Not going to spot much. Pulse does go down and give away 1 player's position, but Subroza has made it up all the way top mid, and so has the rest of the team. So they've now got control of defense spawn, and they can go to A or B.
Yeah, Wardell's also just lurking a little bit further behind, so Koler thinks he's safe. Drone styling on him at this point. Quick flicks to finish off this round, and while Genghsta, he at least get 1. I want to see a shorty kill. Of course, the spike is going back in the other direction, so they don't really have a need to push this. And while Wardell, a slight range advantage there, is going to give them their 11th flawlessly.
This is the big round. So much pressure currently on Immortals to pick up a win here. The AWP is going to go into the hands of Dicey. Rifles for the rest. Again, it is important to note, though, that while this looks bleak currently for the boys on Immortals, if they lose this series, they're not out of it. They picked up a big win over Genghsta in the quarterfinals. This is double elimination tournament, so they're currently in the upper bracket semifinals. They get knocked down to the lowers. They'd still have a chance to continue their fight through the tournament. After drawing the short straw, facing off against a very strong TSM, who's really kicking off day number 3 with a massive punch. Hazed getting control of mid. The dark cover goes down. Asuna's going to get aggressive with the curveball coming out over on long. There's one inside the smoke that prevents the boost-up position being currently utilized by Wardell. So it's a nice early pick coming out for Asuna.
No charges.
I think Envy have proven, though, that you say that this is the hard match. I don't know if there's an easy match in the upper bracket at this point. If Sentinels have just lost their first map as well. Especially on Split, of all the maps. Split. Didn't see that one coming. But either way, this is looking much better for Immortals. They've got that all-important opener, and it's off the back of Asuna as well, who, as we mentioned, is someone that we want to see back into form. Very enjoyable player to watch, especially on that Phoenix. Let's see the paranoia utilized. Cutler, though, gets one, and now it's actually less. Onto JC. Cutler's just done it all. 2 entry kills onto the site, leaving just 2 players standing. Spike will go down as well, and remainder, depressing as it may be, might just have to save.
This is brutal right now. I thought for sure Immortals would be able to take us to a 3rd map. Based on what we saw from them all tournament long, they looked so strong, so incredibly good with this new and revamped roster. Picking up Dicey and switching around the roles worked well for them against other teams, but TSM has proven to be a bit of a brick wall. And no matter how hard they try, they just can't seem to get past them. 12 rounds now going on the board for TSM. After a strong first map, they continue on Ascent. TSM making a statement here in the semifinals. Winner of this will be facing off against the winner of the currently live Sentinels versus Envy series. Again, if you missed it and you weren't here earlier, Envy was actually able to surprise us with a big win in map number 1, 13-10 over Sentinels. It's currently live in map number 2. That's Ascent. Score is currently 4-1. You can head on over to twitch.tv/Faze or hit the squad stream button on the stream if you want to watch both. I highly recommend you do, as both games have proven to be fun and exciting. Yeah, mute them, hear us. Listen to the Bald Brothers.
We're giving our homie Cutler some powers.
Maybe that's what it is.
Coming alive. We wanted Moses to join us, but, you know, they had a rule at Nerd Street Gamers that you're not allowed 3 board men on a broadcast at once. You know, I was kind of disrespected, but I understand that they went with us too.
I mean, have you ever seen The Fifth Element when they activate her and that beam of light goes up into the sky? That's what happens if all 3 of us touch heads. It's just a huge beam of light goes up into the sky and we can stop or create the apocalypse with that ball power.
Definitely create. Oh, once again, we're going to see this fast take into the A site, but JC's there this time, and he's hitting his shots. Back on the board once again, a double. Exactly when they need it. Even going to see Asuna get a bit more aggressive as well, and it leaves just 1 man standing. He was the clutch meister in the first, but he's not quite going to be able to do it in this round. It is 12-4, still a mountain to climb, and not even for the victory. It would just be for overtime at this point. But this is still the talking point. Asuna at the moment, 5-14. I will say that the way that TSM played the defense, it's going to make it very tough for an entry fragger, because I feel like Subroza, as the defensive player, was actually more of an aggressor than what we saw from Asuna. He didn't give his opposing Phoenix much of a chance. Either way, they have at least got themselves back in on the round. They've got a mountain to climb. You said they could do it on the defense, Boq, so I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
I continue to hold out hope, but again, we talked about this coming into this. Asuna struggling on the map.
You're dead.
It's not entirely surprising. As he struggled last night, it just doesn't seem to be a map that works out well for him. Goes for the run it back early. We'll get the intel that there's players building up on A long. Here comes the ult coming in, the Hunter's Fury sending pulses out. One will connect with Asuna. He's trying to dodge it. Blinds himself, but gets taken down by Subroza. It's Jcstani with a quick trade. Koler goes through the dark cover and picks up 2. It's down to now 2 on the other side. They've got spike control. So what do they decide to do? They're going to shuffle on over to the B site, where defense has currently disappeared as they stacked all their chips over on the A site. So there's an opportunity to set up for the post plant here, with TSM having 2 alive on the B site.
I think the defense are quickly going to realize where this is going. They're going to realize once the spike goes down. I'm surprised they haven't actually started to try and rotate back, but I guess they're just going to try and do it as a squad. It does mean, however, the time will have ticked down a fair margin by the time they actually get there. Hazed, I think maybe expecting them to be here a little bit sooner, is going to wait behind his dark cover, but likely by the time they actually make their way through the mid-market. It will have already dissipated, just trying to clear out towards the long B, but there is Hazed to get one. Tagged up though, so they have the information of where he's going to be. Looking for the peak, he's not going to be able to find it. And now it's left on to Koler, trying to hold the line. He sprays down 2. This might just be possible after all. Our board brother looking to try and hold on, and I think he might have done it just based off the time. He has to get on that defusal, and I'm not sure it's going to be enough. It's going to be incredibly close. No, it's done. It is finished. It is Koler with the 1 versus 3 and the spike to help.